StitchyTube! Settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello, it's Friday and I'm filming a video. I usually wait until the weekend is almost over, and this week I decided to get my butt in gear and do one on Friday, so y'all have something to watch this weekend. It's only been a couple of days since I posted my last video, but I know you can't get sick of me, right? This is StitchyTube 20. And so I thought I'd start with, I was talking to somebody on email this week about the time that I went to the Antiques Roadshow with my antique samplers. This was probably like 7 years ago maybe, or something like that. I don't know if you're familiar with the Antiques Roadshow. It's a show on PBS, and it's where antiques experts go town to town, have people bring in things that they think might be worth something or they're not really sure, to get appraisals and kind of hear the story behind their antiques. So I had heard that they were coming to Gulfport. This was, like I said, about 7 or 8 years ago. And I was like, oh, Steve, let's go. We'll take my antique samplers. This will be really cool. So I took a stack of samplers and we went to, I had to get in a lottery first to even get tickets to go. And I did get in. So we went. And it was really cool. It was kind of fun to see like how they set everything up and how they did things, and there were people at the gates, and you kind of showed like, here's what I brought, and then they would kind of direct you somewhere and you would get tickets to go to a specific table. Now, I think one of the mistakes they made initially was they sent me to the folk art area, which samplers are a type of folk art, but there also was a textiles area, and I think that might have been more appropriate, but it's okay. So we went and we took they said, what else have you got? Because you could take up to 2 things. And I said, just really my sampler collection. And they were like, okay, well, here's 2 tickets to go to the folk art table. So we stood in line just for a little bit, and there were a couple of gentlemen at a just, kind of like a table, like a regular 6-foot kind of fold out table. And they were like, okay, well, let's see what you got there. And so I started laying my samplers down. I was like, this is my sampler collection. This one's British, this one's French, this one, maybe it's Spanish, I don't know, look at this. And so as I'm talking, the guy that I'm talking to leans back like this and just like folds his arms like this and looks at me. And I'm like, okay. And the guy next to him, who looked kind of like a turtle, sort of, he had really thick Coke bottle glasses. He leans forward and he looks at the samplers and goes, well, those look like they could have been done by hand. And I was like, don't. So the guy who folded his arms said, okay, here's the deal. You're an expert. You know too much about these, clearly. He said, the roadshow is looking for people who have no idea what they have. So he said, and I was like, but these are like, this one's from 1770 and I only paid $25 for this one. He was like, well, you got a good deal then. I was like, well, can I get my appraisal? Because they were supposed to, one of your guarantee was that you would get an appraisal of what you brought. And so I said, well, can I have my appraisal anyway? And he said, well, whatever you paid, that's what they're worth. And I was like, oh. So we were kind of dejected because it was like, oh, I had things that were like 250 years old, and it was just like, so we left and we were kind of sad about it. I was sad about it. And we were leaving the building, and this guy is carrying out like an end table. And we saw people carrying in like the Blue Boy, the famous painting, just a print from the 50s in a crappy old frame. It's just like, there was stuff there that it's like, this is not an antique. This is just garage sale stuff. So the guy carrying the table out goes, I don't know what they're looking for. And I said, I have stuff that's 250 years old, and they told me to take a hike, basically. And he said, how old does something have to be to get it looked at? And I said, well, they told me I was too smart. And I said, which is too bad, because I can act dumb all day long. And he kind of laughed. And so, we kind of joked that, I should have gone in and said, well, I found these in a dumpster, and I think they might be like napkins of some sort. But anyway, it was still neat to see the behind the scenes process. And if you ever get the opportunity to go and you have something that's cool that you could take, I would highly recommend it. We ended up doing a little retail therapy that day. There's a great outlet mall down there, and we hardly ever go. And so we went and got some new clothes, which was nice. But it was fun anyway. It just was kind of a funny experience. Okay, I got a couple of questions from last time, and really I had a lot of questions from last time because of my drawing, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the ones that kind of stood out are these two. Ronnie Tall wanted to know, where do you get your sawdust? And I showed a bunch of sawdust pincushions last time. I actually have gotten it a few different places. I got some at Lowe's, and I think I would go back there if I needed more. They let me have some from their equipment. I got some in the mail from someone, which was really nice. Her husband is a woodworker. And then my son's friend Upton works construction, and he has brought me some too. And I have instructions with Graham for Upton to get me some more. His sawdust was really great. So that's where I get it. I think really if you just kind of start putting the word out there that you're looking for sawdust, because I did on my video, and all these people are like, oh, my husband's a woodworker, or I have an uncle who blah, blah, blah. And I think if you let people know, like, I'm looking for sawdust, you could probably totally find some. I don't know if there's a place to buy some. A few people suggested like a farm supply store. I know that like back in the day, my mom was from a small town, and a lot of times I had relatives that were like, kind of farming community type people, and that they would have wedding dances in the barn, and they would throw a bunch of sawdust down. And I would imagine that like you could go to a mill or you could go to a farm supply store. But I think really if you just started asking around, you would find people that kind of had connections to, because sawdust is something that I guess just gets thrown away, which is a shame because it's awesome. And it makes your pincushion smell really good. Lisa Powell asked, what is your singing background? I sing a lot on my videos, and I really do sing around the house. I make up songs. I grew up in a family that did a lot of singing, and my dad actually went to Juilliard Music School in composition, and he played the drums, and then he later played the drums in the U.S. Marine Corps band. And so I kind of come from a musical family. I took piano lessons from age 6 until I was about 16, and then I took them again as an adult. As far as my singing background, I went to a performing arts school in the summers for like 4 different years. I think 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, and then after that, I spent my summers either working and going to debate camp and things like that. But I was in the school plays and musicals. For 3 years in high school, I played like the secondary female lead that was kind of the comic relief. And so it involved a lot of singing. And I don't consider myself a great singer. I can carry a tune, and I just do it because I think it's fun, enjoyable, and it makes me feel happy. And I think even if you can't sing, you should just sing, because it just kind of lifts you up a little bit. But that's my singing background. I also was in a choral group called the Quintessence. I'm an alto, and I was in the church choir for a little while as an adult. That's my singing background. I don't really have like much training other than like high school classes and things like that. But growing up, we had music class. We went to Catholic high school, and we had music class a couple times a week. And we obviously sang in church, and so it's just singing was something that we did. And then Lisa also wanted to know, why doesn't Prairie Schooler have a set of D cards? I showed a couple of videos ago Prairie Schooler little cards that were freebie cards that they handed out when the new charts would come out. And my friend Jen carries them in her shop. And I'll put a link to Jen's stitching niche below if you want to go find the other sets. I think they're on set H maybe, or something like that, or something like that. But anyway, there was a set D. We think that maybe that set sold out, because I think she was using up, kind of inventory of cards that were left, and that there just aren't any of those left. It's possible that you might be able to find set D somewhere online. I would just Google around and see if you can find them. Okay, drawing last time was for, it was for this this little needle roll thing that I made that was, like a little mermaidy kind of needle roll that I made as a very, very limited edition kit for a retreat that I did. And people liked it. I don't have the chart anymore for this. I don't plan on recharting it, but maybe I'll make something, similar to it. People liked the idea of this little needle roll. It was super easy to make, and they wanted to see a tutorial on it. So maybe I'll design something for Christmas or something where you make this little needle roll. It's kind of fun and cute and really cheap little project. But anyway, the winner of that, she wins 2 things. It was Connie Christman wins this. So Connie, please send me an email. My email address is below. Fitz, are you biting the column? Weirdo. Connie Crispin wins. And so Connie, send me an email. My email address is below, and I'll need your address so that I can send that to you. Fitz, play nice. Fitz. Hey. Thank you. And so email me below and your address. And then Connie also wins that I'm going to make a tutorial based on her suggestion. She wanted to see a tutorial on how to put sawdust into smalls, which was a very, very common refrain last week. A lot of people wanted to see how I made these pin cushions. I'll show a couple that I showed last time too. These are stuffed with sawdust and they end up really firm and heavy and not floppy at all. This is one of my new designs. And they're just really, they feel nice. They've got a good weight. They're firm. It almost feels like a custom insert. So the way that differs is, I'll show you a few. These are stuffed with crushed walnut shells, and I've done them with rice too. And it's like a looser, you can feel everything kind of shifting around in there, and it's hard to really get them packed and tight. So here's another one. And they just end up a little bit, just not as firm. They're still cool. They're still cool. But so I'm going to be working on that tutorial. Hopefully I'll do that this week sometime. I got to see what I've got that I can do some finishing on. Or I got to finish something up real quick so I can do a tutorial. But anyway, Connie, congratulations. And as far as like the other suggestions, there were a lot of good ones and common ones. Just because they didn't win doesn't mean I'll never do a tutorial. A lot of people want to get information on how to buy antique samplers, how to chart, how to do charting like reproductions or to make your own designs and things like that. And so I definitely have those on my list, and those will be a someday kind of thing. Okay, the new drawing is two things. And I went to Hobby Lobby this week, and they were having a big clearance. And I was able to get this Dimensions kit that had been $20 for $2. I bought the last three. I bought one for me, one for Jen, and one for you. And so it comes with coasters, 4 coasters, 4 pieces of cork to put on the back, all of the threads, and then the designs. And you cross stitch the coasters. Now you wouldn't have to do the designs as shown. I think it would be really neat to find, this would be 5 stitches tall to do an alphabet all the way around, like kind of a primitive alphabet. Wouldn't that be cute? Or numbers or hearts or whatever. The threads are really neat. They're like not quite cotton, but you get all those threads too. So I only paid $2 for that. And so I'm going to give you that, but also I still had a set of these left. And these are the new DMC colors 2 times ago. So not the most recent set of new DMC colors, but the set before that. And so there are some brights and there are some sampler colors. And so if you win, you're going to win those 2 things. And the question is, what is your favorite hot weather activity? It's hot as blazes here in Mississippi and so humid. And it's like, it's so hot. It's so hot. It's so hot. And I love hot weather. Sit inside with a cool drink and stitch in the air conditioning. I'm indoorsy. I don't really like to be outside. I don't. And so being inside where it's cool and watching FlossTube and stitching, or even like cooking or reading or whatever, putzing around the house, that's a great thing to do when it's hot outside to me. You know what's really good is homemade lemonade. If you haven't ever made homemade lemonade, it's amazing. I use Ina Garten's recipe. So if you look for Barefoot Contessa lemonade, it's delicious. And it's going to like kind of spoil you on what lemonade should really taste like. Okay, how do you feel about Stitch With Me videos? I kind of have thought like for a couple of months that I might like to make them now and then. If you haven't seen a Stitch With Me video, it's where somebody sits and stitches and you have a view like over their shoulder of them stitching, and then they talk to you. I like watching them. I find them very calming. It's kind of like sitting with a friend. Like I'll stitch and then listen to somebody stitch and look up once in a while. The way I've thought about doing it would be more of like you getting a view of me, like we're sitting across from each other, and then just me showing once in a while how I'm doing, and then just doing it that way. I don't know. Maybe there's not that much demand for it. I enjoy them, and I think some people do enjoy them. I just don't want to oversaturate you guys with seeing my face all the time. But if you think that's something that you would like, would you let me know? And I'll make them once in a while. I think it would be fun to do. All right. I think I mentioned that I'm going to the Midwest Stitchers Retreat. It's going to be super, super, super fun. 75 people. Like we're not going to want to leave. We're all going to just be like, let's just all find jobs in Minneapolis and stitch together forever. It's going to be great. And I'm actually designing a kit that will be exclusive to the retreat, where everybody's going to get that kit. So I have ideas so far. Right now I'm doing research based on a theme that I've got from Farm Girl. So Farm Girl's putting them on. She does a great retreat, I've heard. Everybody's just peeing their pants already about how exciting it's going to be. I'm going to tell you that one of the things I offered to Michelle, and I've already started working on it, is to find door prizes and goodie bag treats for the retreat people. And so I've started asking like my designer and distributor friends, and I've already got a bunch of people that are going to contribute either something for everybody or some door prizes to give away at the retreat. If you're a designer, if you have a business, even if it's not like specifically cross stitch, like you make project bags or you make needle minders or whatever, if you'd like to contribute something, there are going to be like 40 floss tubers there, and you might get some really nice shout outs on FlossTube, showing what you donated and kind of giving you a little plug. Or if you would just like to donate something just because you wish you could be there and you want to join in on the fun, send me an email below, and you can send. I'll give you instructions on either sending it to me or sending it directly up to Minnesota. But they're already going to be some really good prizes and things. It's going to be really fun. Okay, where am I at? What am I all into? All right, I'm all into. This is kind of like a stash flash, but it's also kind of a what I'm all into. Somebody told me about these recently. This is a company called 1803 Ohio Farm Baskets. And I'll put a link down below. And she has an Etsy store, and she makes these little baskets. And I have been looking at them, and they're so cool. And it smells good. And this is actually a basket that she made, and then it's signed on the bottom. And then it's dyed in walnut dye, which is, I think, really cool. I love walnut dye. And so she makes all kinds of different baskets, a lot of them specifically for cross stitchers. So some of them will say like stitching or, whatever, yarn or thread on the front. There'll be like a little plaque kind of a thing. She has a really cool double stand for stitchers, but I was afraid that I would get a cat that would want to sit in the top and then crush the whole thing. So that's kind of what I really wanted, but I got this, which is just a super cute little basket. This was $26, which I feel like is reasonable for a homemade basket. It's beautifully made. I can't see a thing wrong with it. Super fast shipping, great service. Love the walnut over dye on this because it makes it look like an older basket. But I would highly recommend her if you want to check her out. Like I said, her link will be below. What else am I all into? I'm going to take my glasses off. Ba-da-ba-ba, ba-da-da, ba-da-da-ba, ba-da-ba-da-da. We went and saw Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark this week at the movie theater. They play old movies at our theater all summer on, I think, Sundays and Wednesdays. And our movie theater just got a recent upgrade with the seats where you can put your feet up, and they're leather and they're, comfortable, whatever. And so we saw that Raiders was going to be playing on Father's Day, and my husband and I just decided to go. That came out in 81, so my husband and I would have been 11. Raiders of the Lost Ark played at our local movie theater for over a year, and the local newspaper did a story on it about how it had been there for such a long time. Great, great, great movie. Loved seeing, it had been, how old are we? 48. So it had been 37 years since we had seen it on the big screen, and we loved it. I, of course, have seen it in the meantime, and it's just, it is one of my favorite movies. Harrison Ford was on top of his game, let me tell you, and that is just a great, fun movie. Funny, interesting, there's, paranormal, and there's, intrigue and action and humor. There's, kind of a lot of slapstick. So good. If you get an opportunity to go to an old movie this summer, go ahead and go. We left and I was like, they sure don't make movies like that anymore, and they just really don't. It was incredible. It was great. Okay, I'm into Farrell Calhoun paint. We have a little local paint store that I've noticed a few times, and I went in because I'm going to paint my craft room this weekend, and I will do tours. I'm going to do some before shots before I start painting, and then we're hopefully in a week or two I'll have that all put together and we can do a tour, and I may start filming my videos in there. It just depends. But anyway, Farrell Calhoun is a little paint business that's been around for 100 years. I asked the guy inside about it, and he said that there are about 30 of them, and there kind of just is starting to be a generational switch where the person who's the head of it now is getting ready to retire, and his kids are getting ready to take it over, and they kind of want to be more aggressive about getting some more locations. But it's mainly just like it's out of Memphis, and it's mainly just a southeast portion of the United States kind of place. And so we have one here in Hattiesburg. And I stopped in, and they have this collection, which is the Historic Colors of America, and it's based on just buildings and furniture and findings of old places. And so they had this really cool thing with all these colors, and they're all, look at these great shaker boxes down here in the middle. They had all these really great colors that are just like perfect for stitchers, I feel. They're really pretty, and it was hard to pick one. I ended up picking Hitching Post, this one here, which is kind of a brown putty. I'm going to be hanging a lot of samplers on the wall, so I kind of figured that having a good darker neutral on behind all of that would be nice, rather than to do a color. But we're looking at painting our kitchen too. We haven't painted since we moved in. We've only painted the boys' rooms. That's it. Oh, and the computer room, I guess. But we're kind of looking at maybe doing something a little more fun, like for our kitchen, to do like a kind of a sea glass kind of a color. Paint is a really cheap way to decorate. You know, I bought a gallon of paint and then 3 or 4 other just accoutrements to help me do the painting, and it was like $30, which that's a really cheap way to do over a room. The bummer is I'm going to have to paint. And so I'm going to watch some videos this weekend on edging. I'm pretty good at edging, but I really want to see if there's any other tips. I struggle along the top, like along the ceiling I struggle. Okay, Hobby Lobby is having a sale, kind of like a midsummer sale. Would you believe they're already putting up the Christmas stuff? I mean, we're a good 6 months away, so it's just right around the corner. But Hobby Lobby's having a sale, and they have a whole bunch of stuff that's 75% off. And so they had, at ours, they had a bunch of frames from the frame shop, and that's what you want to look out for, is that you can get some really good deals on some cool custom frames. All the ones that ours had were huge and mostly weirdly shaped. So if they had smaller ones, they got picked over real quick. But I did find this one. I think it may have been a ready-made, but it's kind of a cool frame, very samplery looking, and it's heavy, $6. So I got that. But they had, they've got a bunch of, like, all their spring stuff is half off. And I got a couple of these too. And this totally screams Priscilla and Chelsea. It's metal, so I think you could magnet something to this. Oop. It's a chalkboard. I think you can write on it. But it was $5.50 after the discount. And so I got 3 of them. I'm keeping 2, and I gave 1 to Jen. And they had a bunch of really cool stuff. It was kind of hard to restrain myself. So I'm into Hobby Lobby sales. So check them out, and especially like I said, the custom frames section. I'm all into dyeing fabric. Jen and I did some fabric dyeing this week. That's all I'm going to say about it. But be prepared. I'm all into foamy window cleaner. I found this at Sam's Club. We were out of Windex, which I've used for years and years. And I used to use a product very much like this when I had my frame shop, like a foam one. Look at this. Can you see? I don't know if you can see that little old lady, like from the 50s. She's cleaning her windows in her skirt, in her heels. But this is ammonia-free, and it's nice because you spray it on. It has a really nice kind of fresh smell to it, and it just stays put. A lot of times, when you Windex something, it all like kind of drips down. And so this was really inexpensive. I want to say it was like $7.75 for 4 bottles. So that'll last me a good long time. So I've been running around. It's been good incentive to run around and clean windows. Okay, that's what I'm all into this week. KittenStitcher's cheap and cheerful. It's time for another one, guys. What are we going to do this week? I really feel like small businesses are going to make a comeback. I think we love Amazon. We do. We shop at Walmart. We do. And Target and all those big businesses. But I think, for the past 10 years anyway, or so, there's been kind of this resurgence of artisanal foods and you know, just kind of smaller producers of things. And let's get back to small businesses. And not just because I run one, but I feel like I went to this Farrell Calhoun. They have 30 stores. It's pretty small. Very nice people, very quick service, not expensive. And I just felt like I didn't feel like a number. I walked in and I got help right away, and I chatted with the person for a while. I've worked for big corporations recently, and it's not great. You're kind of a cog in a machine, and they don't necessarily make things easy for you. And so the cheap and cheerful this week is I would like y'all to shout out on Instagram some of your favorite small businesses to do business with. And they can be online or they can be local. But I love businesses. Like when we lived in Winona, Minnesota, there was this great little Polish meat shop that just had wonderful hams and sausages and things. And they would make sandwiches with so much meat, and they would charge you by the pound. And then we had like this little fruit place that was small. And we have this great little frame shop here in Hattiesburg that we use that we just love. There's a wonderful little donut shop nearer to downtown that's a small business that they make just the best donuts. And so let's share with each other the places that make homemade jelly and jam and salsa. You know, the little producers of all these little, like this basket, like just these people that are doing what they love, doing an awesome bang up job, and just like bringing joy to our lives. So if you can, get a picture of the business or something that you bought maybe from them, or you know, something that you could stop by and visit and take a picture. So go to hashtag KSCAC for KittenStitcher Cheap and Cheerful. And let's talk about small businesses that we love. And it's kind of just fun to hear about. Everybody's got their thing, like it's a local orchard, or it's a local dog groomer. You know what I mean? I think small businesses are really cool, because a lot of times the people who are working in the small businesses have been there forever and ever. They always have good stories, and it's just, there's nothing like a small hometown business. When we move places, you're not like, boy, I sure miss the Walmart where we're from. It's always like, oh, I miss that ice cream place, that, I miss that pastry shop, remember? And there's only one, and we don't have one here. That's what we miss. So I think let's be thankful for the small businesses that make our lives a little bit brighter. Cheap and cheerful. I've got some website news. My website is up and going strong. And I've got, that S. Ward sampler kit that I did, and I brought it this time. I forgot to bring it last time. This is the little marking sampler that I reproduced. It's done in the pashmina threads from Gloriana. So it's cashmere silk. Ooh, is it nice? And I'm seeing people on Instagram, and I'm seeing people on FlossTube, and I've gotten emails and text messages from people that they're just super excited about doing this kit. Some of them have already started, and they're like, I just feel the threads all the time. They're so nice. It sold out in just 6 days, and so I'm making another 100. Everything is on the way. Can you believe I have spent $500 on candy this month? That's a crazy expense. So with the kit, you get some candy from Jelly Belly. You get a handmade paper mache strawberry. Guess what I'm going to be doing this weekend? I'm going to be making another 100 paper mache strawberries. I'm waiting for the silks and the Ada to come in, but I am offering it in Ada this time as well. I'm making another 100. That doesn't mean this is the last 100 I'll make, but I will tell you that I announced this on Sunday night that I was doing another 100, and I've already pre-sold half of them. And so if you would like to get on the list to buy a kit, to for sure get one this time, email me below. All I need is your email address and if you want linen or Ada. And then I'll email you when the kit is ready and let you know, give you instructions on how to go about and paying for it. I do not want you to pay now. I don't like to charge people for things until it's going out. And so that's the S. Ward news. But I'm very excited that y'all think that's really cool. I think really the great thing about this is it's $46. But like I said, you get the kit with the pashmina and the linen and a needle or Ada. And then you get the handmade paper mache strawberry, and you get the candy. And shipping in the U.S. is $3. Shipping overseas is $6. And I think it's a great project for you to try this thread without like dropping $1 million. I think it's like $8.75 or $9 a skein. Otherwise, you're getting more than 2 skeins in with this kit. And so it's a great way to try this thread without having to buy 12 colors of it for something, which would be cost prohibitive. So it's, I think you'll like it. I know you'll like it. I really did. It was fun to work with. Also, so I'm expanding my shop. You can go to KittenStitcher.com, and I've got a lot of my designs up. I'm still in the process of loading designs, and I've started adding more PDFs. Last week, I uploaded the antique scissors and spools. I'm working on getting the antique locks and keys recharted and made into a PDF, and that'll be available soon. But I've added a few more charts already as PDFs where you just pay a fee. It's less than if you bought the actual chart, and you just download it. You get an email, you click on the link, and you get to download the chart that way. And so there are more of those available now, including Mercy Goodheart. I uploaded last night, and so you can download that. I think it's $13 maybe. And you just print it off at home, or you can look at it on your device. I'm also redoing another 150 of these, it's got dust on it, Fractor kits. The kit comes with the thread from Nina from Hungary and the jute and the hand-dyed spool. It does not come with fabric, but it's just a quick and easy little project that a lot of people on FlossTube have started. I'm making another 150 kits because the shops that I'm supplying with them keep running out. And so I'm making another 150, but then I'm also designing a companion piece to go with this. So this will be available in my shop soon. I'm just waiting on the threads from Hungary. They've already been shipped. I'll have them, Jen will have them, Lindy at the Silver Needle ordered some, and then Julie at Gulf Coast Stitches also ordered some, just so you know. I'm getting charts in from You and I and Friends. Remember I talked about You and I and Friends last time. I read that article about them, and I contacted Ruth Sparrow, and she was so excited, and so she's going to send me a bunch of charts. I think they're going to ship this coming week, and so I'll have a bunch of really, really cool stuff from You and I this week. I talked to Brenda Gervais this week. I'm carrying some of her charts now. Like, you can go to my shop and find some of Brenda's charts, but I specifically was looking for her reproduction charts. She does reproduction samplers, and they're lovely. Like, she picks really great samplers, and her color choices are really amazing. She said, oh, they just don't sell as well as the other charts, and we are going to fix that. Did you know she does reproduction samplers? Why are you not buying them? They're really super cool. So I'll show them as soon as they're in. She was shipping those also, so I should have those soon. But I'm getting every reproduction that she has, and those will be up in my shop. I think, if you haven't stitched a reproduction sampler yet, but you really like Brenda Gervais, they would be a very good transition because it's mainly going to be cross-stitch. They're going to be in Brenda Gervais type colors, and they'd be really fun to stitch. Reproducing samplers seems like, oh, all you're doing is copying something old, which it is, sort of, except for that I feel like with reproduction samplers that you can look at a lot of them and know who reproduced it. Even though you're looking at an old sampler, color choices, fabric choices, the type of sampler that someone chooses has a piece of that person in it, the person who reproduces it. So like when I look at a Scarlet Letter reproduction, I can tell, that she did it. And so I just think it's going to be really cool to have Brenda's in. I'm working on getting all the Plum Street reproductions in too, but I'm going to be carrying a lot of reproduction samplers and other things that kind of look like reproductions. Primitive Hair, I've got some charts coming from her overseas in Italy. And if you want to see the way I've got my website divided up is into 3 areas. I just thought that would be easiest. So there's reproduction samplers, original samplers. That's all my stuff. There will eventually be a KittenStitcher area, and I'm working on that. Hopefully by the end of the summer, there'll be some KittenStitcher designs. And then there's cool stuff and other junk. And basically that's anything else. So I've got rusty jingle bells, rusty safety pins. I've got charts. I'm adding some fabrics today. And so it's just going to be a little bit of this, that, and the other. And it's not going to be necessarily everything. So I may get things in and I may say, oh, that's enough for this time, or I may get them in again if it sells out. I've got a lot of really cool Barbara Anna charts that I got in, Plum Street, Brenda Gervais. I got some Nikki's Creation things that are really cool, and I've got a whole bunch on the way from Hoffman Distributing. So it's very, very exciting. But the most exciting thing is a new piece that I designed for my friend Jennifer. And she, of course, is at Jen's Stitching Niche, and I'll remember the link is going to be below. And I designed this piece for specifically her shop. I offered to do it quite a while ago. I said, I should stitch it or design a piece just for you. And she was like, oh, that'd be so nice. And I did. but I said, you have to stitch it. So she stitched it, and she did a great job. So she lives on her family farm. Her dad was a chicken farmer, and Jen and her husband Hobby got bees last summer. They're going to start raising bees, and I want to say they're up to 5 different hives, that they've got 5 little colonies of bees that they're working with. And she got Italian honeybees, and she said, like, oh, Italian honeybees, they're the nicest of the bees. They're very sweet bees. They don't like to sting people. And so that was kind of my inspiration for the design. Now, the name of their bee business is Purple Martin Apiary. A purple martin is a little type of a bird that's got kind of a purpley sheen to it. Jen and Hobby hang little white gourds off. They've got a whole bunch of white gourds kind of hanging down with holes in them, and the purple martins nest in those gourds. And it's really cool to see them kind of buzzing around and stuff. And so Purple Martin Apiary is the name of her business. And so I designed this piece for her. And I'm kind of proud of it. I think it turned out really cute. You can see here are the little gourds that the purple martins live in. This is what a purple martin looks like. I did a bunch of different types of bee hives, bee skips, bee houses. These are more based on kind of like vintage designs. This up here isn't flowers, it's bees. It's a little border of bees with some just kind of random flowers sticking out. And then there's this bee here on the background, and our honey's as sweet as our bees is just kind of like, because she said her Italian honeybees are so sweet. And so that's what it is. I think that parts of this would be very cute done as other things. Like you could totally do this as a long pin cushion. You could do this as a pin cushion, this as a pin cushion. I've also done an entire alphabet, uppercase and lowercase, that's included with the chart, so that if you wanted to customize this part of it and put something else, you could. But I think Purple Martin Apiary is a really cute name, and I think it turned out really nice. It's stitched on 40 count Black Forest linen by Lakeside Linens, and there was quite a wait on it, and now Jen heard today, and we're hoping that she gets news that it's on the way soon. We think it will be. There was a glitch in Lakeside Linen's system where she wasn't getting emails, and then all of a sudden today 4,600 emails loaded into her system. So she doesn't know why they got held up. A lot of them are duplicates. She's working her way through them, but she's going to get that fixed ASAP. And then the threads are all Weeks Dye Works, and I used some unusual colors. Bee's Knees is one of them. Shepherd's Blue is another one. Rose Quartz was one. But Jen has got this set up in her Etsy store where you can either buy the chart or the chart with the threads, so that you can just make sure to get it all at once. I definitely think you would not have to stitch this on 40 count. It's all just full cross stitches. Use your favorite chalkboard fabric or use another fabric. I think it would look good on a lot of different colors. Natural might be really cool. You might have to tweak a few of the colors, but I think it turned out really nice. So I'm showing this to you today because I'm going to meet Jen later with a big old box of charts that I packed until late last night. And they're already selling like hotcakes on her site. They're not limited. Don't worry, you can get one. But it is limited to her shop. I'm not selling these to my distributor. I'm not selling them on my website. They're not going to be available as a PDF. If you want a chart, you're going to have to go to Jen's Stitching Niche on Etsy and grab one. And we're both really proud of it. We're kind of excited. Okay, I thought I would tell you about just something I've never really mentioned here, and it's something that if you watch my videos, you see it all the time. Every time I do a video, at the start of the video, there are usually 2 pictures of cats or kittens, and then a picture of me, often with a cat or a kitten. And then at the end of my video, there's usually a picture of another kitten or a cat. All of those have been through this house. So they're all either former foster kittens or cats, or they're cats that belong to us. And I don't like go online and try to find cute pictures of cats or kittens to use. Those are all from around the house here. And so I don't know, maybe you'll get a new appreciation of those pictures, knowing that just like those, every one of those cats I could tell you like what they're like. And you know, some of them made it and some of them didn't. We had a kitten named Violet. I'm going to put a picture right here of Violet. Violet, I still miss Violet. And you know, you get cats obviously and kittens that if you foster that are, you know, they're all special to you, but some of them are especially special. And Violet came with her 2 siblings, Charlie and Willie. They were all named after characters from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So Violet Beauregard, that was Violet, and she was a little white Siamese. I loved her to pieces. I loved her, and the feeling was more than mutual. She followed me all around the house. When we got her, she was small enough that she could fit in your hand. That's how big she was. So she was bottle fed. And once she got to be about 6 weeks old or 7 weeks old, she started just not to really just do that well. And I took her to the vet, and we tried some different things. And she kept getting thinner and thinner, and then she started where she couldn't poop properly, and then she was throwing everything up. It was like nothing could come in and nothing could go in, and things were coming out poorly. And took her back in, and she just was failing. She was clearly failing, and we tried everything we could think of. And the vet, at the time, she doesn't live here anymore, but she was so sweet. She, felt around her belly. She was like, something is really wrong. Just like something's really wrong that we can't fix. I don't know what it is. And so I just remember that last night with Violet, knowing I was going to have to take her in the morning and probably have her put to sleep, just laying on the floor in our bedroom and just weeping like all night. And I'm pretty strong. That one hurt, and that one still hurts. And it wasn't just because she was beautiful. She just, sometimes you have a connection with a person or an animal, and that connection was definitely there. And so that was a really hard goodbye that they put her to sleep. And the vet said, do you mind if I do an autopsy she said, I'm not going to charge you. I just want to see like what this was. And what had happened was, I think it's called like intussusception or something like that, where her little guts, her little intestines started to bundle up on each other, where everything should move one direction, but for some reason, her intestine started moving in opposite directions, so it was kind of like folding in on itself. And she said there was literally not a thing we could do. That was just happens once in a while, and she was a goner. And so I still, I was vacuuming the other day just in an area in my new craft room, and I remember playing with her in that little area, and I thought about her, and it makes me really sad. Okay, I'm going to show you a few FFOs and an ongoing project. I didn't do a lot of stitching this week. I had a really tired week, and I had a lot of work to do this week, so we had some other things going on. But I have a couple things that I was going to share because they're summary. One of them, I think this is called Stars and Stripes. I don't have the chart anymore. This was a Sisters and Best Friends chart. And Amy Brooken from AB Designs still designs. This was a Sisters and Best Friends chart. And it's, because it's getting to be 4th of July, I thought this would be a fun one to show y'all. It was fun to stitch. I don't know if you'll be able to find it on eBay or if you can find anybody else who's got one. I loved that there was a grain elevator on this. When I was little, and when I wasn't little, my grandparents lived in a town called Brampton, North Dakota, which was smaller than it sounds even. Super small town. It's where my mom grew up. Super, super small, tiny, tiny, tiny little town. It doesn't even really exist anymore. It doesn't even really exist. But at the front of the town was a grain elevator. And it would take us about an hour and a half or 2 hours to drive there when we would go visit. And so we would watch for the grain elevator, because as soon as we saw the grain elevator, we knew as kids that we were almost there. And I don't know if it was when I was little that I used to call it Grampton instead of Brampton, because my grandparents lived there, so it was Grampton. And so anyway, so this piece, when I look at it, it makes me think of my grandparents and the grain elevator there. The grain elevator did eventually burn down when I was an adult. But anyway, so Stars and Stripes in the Heartland. That was a fun, and it's got a little moon Mill Hill charm, and it was in overdyed threads. I think it's really cute. So look for that one. Or maybe you have it in your stash. Stitch it. It was fun, and it didn't take that long. Another kind of summary piece that I have, and I took this out of the attic. You guys are like, Teresa, what's in your attic? A lot is in my attic. I had a needle workshop, and so I'm working on getting it all brought down, and we'll see it all in the craft room when I get it set up. But it's kind of long, guys. This is Soapbox Summer, I want to say, by Bent Creek Designs. They did Soapbox all 4 seasons, and I just kind of liked this one. I like the other ones too. The winter one is really cute, but a lot of these would, like this boat is really cute. It's got a little green like ladybug and watermelon and a red ladybug and a sun and a bluebird. And it was fun to stitch. And so those, I don't know if those are still available yet either, but it was done in sampler threads or fancy flosses or whatever. And so look for those, the soapbox pieces. My stomach's growling. I'm starting to get hungry. I don't think I ate today yet. Okay, and then I was going through, let's see. I was looking through, oh no. I'm going to pause and I'm going to come back. I'm back. So I was going to show you this piece and then I was like, oh, you know what? I'll iron it so it doesn't look so wrinkly for you guys. And then I forgot that I left it on the iron and I hadn't ironed it yet. Or I left it on the ironing board. So this piece is just a whip. And it's called Christmas at Hollyberry Farm by Stacy Nash. And I'll hold it up again in just a minute. So this is one that came out a few years ago. They're cute ones. I think there are a few like seasonal ones where it's Hollyberry Farm. Really like this one. That border is killer. Love that. And so what happened with this, I don't know if you remember, like a number of videos ago, I've got that problem with my foot. I've got a bone spur and plantar fasciitis, and it's still sore. But it's better. It's better. And I had iced my foot one night and then set my bag of ice down on the floor, and I had a stitching bag down there with some projects in it, and the water leaked out of the bag and into the stitching bag, that leaked out of the plastic bag into the stitching bag, and then a lot of the pieces in there like bled. There were threads in there and stuff. So this one had bled where I'm stitching it in silks on 36 count natural, which is not what it calls for. I just kind of did a conversion, and I got to see if I know where my silks are. I don't know. But the red stitching, I want to say it was a Gloriana red maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But the red had bled considerably. And I was like, poop. Because red bleeding that's hard to fix. So it was like all around the letters and like this area. And it was just like you got that halo around. I don't know if you've ever had like red thread bleed, but it just leaves like this glow, this red glow around. And so I had put it away and I was like, well, that's ruined. And so this week I came across it when I was digging for something else. And I was like, you know what? Let me just soak it. So I soaked it for like 2 days with a little dish soap to see what would happen in a, let's see if I can do without this. No, I really can't. I soaked it for 2 days with a little dish soap in a pot of water. And I just would swish it once in a while and empty it out and then just kind of refill it. And all the red stains came out. And the only thing is that the red changed from like a dark cranberry red, I would say, to a light cranberry red, which I like. And I'm going to continue stitching it, though, in a similar red, but not the same red, because I like Wabi Sabi. Remember Wabi Sabi, Perfectly Imperfect? I like things that don't match. And so some of it's going to be this lighter pink and some of it's not. And I choose to like that. And it is a very pretty piece. That house took for flippin' ever because it's just absolutely solid stitching. But how cute is that? It's really, really cute. And I love the little dog. There's not much left. I don't know where my chart is, but it's got some stuff over here. And then the border obviously goes all the way around the outside, but it's really pretty. Jen and I started that piece. She may have it in her shop. I bet she's got it in her shop. But we started that piece together, and she finished hers, of course. We have this little joke that she's very competitive. Like, she likes checking things off a list. She likes to be first. She likes a challenge. And I'm a little more like, whatever, doesn't matter. And so our joke is that, like, if she's ever like, I love this chart, but I'll never get it done. I'll be like, I'll challenge you to see who can finish it first. She'll be like, I'll be first. And she'll like get it done. And so I'm not done with mine yet. And I had put it away because I was just kind of discouraged by the fact that it had bled. I don't know how often you wash things. I guess I hadn't really planned on talking about this, but it's as good a time as any. I'm very laid back. And so if I feel like something is dirty, I wash it. And if I feel like it's not that dirty, I don't wash it. I don't wash much. That I wash to see if I could get the bleeding out. I kind of feel like sometimes if I have a piece that I've worked on over a long number of years and it's gotten just kind of gritty, grungy feeling just from being handled so much and stored, I will wash it. And I usually do it in my bathroom sink, I'll clean it out, you know, rinse it, wash it, and then rinse it out so there's no cleaner in it, and then run a little bit of like kind of lukewarm water and put a little hand soap in, or a little dish soap, or a little baby shampoo, and let things soak. If you ever wash something and it starts to bleed, which means the color will start to like leach out of some of the threads, don't let it get dry. So the colors that you really have to watch for are the darkest colors. So like dark red, black, navy blue, dark brown. Those are colors you really have to watch out for as far as bleeding goes. And so the trick then is to just keep rinsing it and keep it wet until all of that color comes out. And still be aware. I mean, that's why I let this one go for a couple of days. Still be aware that once you take it out of the water and you let it dry, that you still could end up with some color that kind of leaches out. There are a lot of threads now that claim to be color fast. But like I said, you don't have to wash something, but you don't have to not wash something. It's your piece. Just if it does bleed a little bit, just make sure that you rinse it and 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 soak it until all the bleeding has stopped. Because really, once you let it dry, that's super hard to get out. And I know people have had, you know, different luck with products like OxyClean. Like the Nordic Needle used to recommend OxyClean to clean like antique hardanger. Like they said they would do baby gown, like christening gowns that were old, and that they would come out just white as snow. But I just find like a little just gentle soap is just as good as anything else. And then just rinse it and give it a good iron, and there you go. Okay, so that's pretty much all for this week. I did get to visit the chickens on Jen's farm, and they're getting bigger. And the exciting thing is they got to move into their new roost, their new chicken hut house. And Jen and Hobby bought a kit online and assembled it out in the garden. So the chickens are actually double enclosed. So they've got their little chicken coop, and then there's like stuff on the ground so that animals can't dig under and in to get to the chickens. And then that all is in a fenced area, and that fence goes up probably 10 feet. And so they're very protected. They're doing great. They're getting bigger. They're so cute. They're so cute. And so I'm going to include a little bit of video here so that you can see how the chickens are doing and how big they're getting. She transported them to their new house from they were on the porch in like a container with a top on it. And now they're there, but she had to get them over there. So she put them all in a wheelbarrow. I'll see if I can find a picture of them in the wheelbarrow too. In a wheelbarrow, and then she said that they just sat in there like perfect little girls, that they just all got in the wheelbarrow and they just took a ride to the new place, and they've been having a great time learning how to roost and playing and just having more room to run around. And it'll be a few months yet until they start laying eggs, but they just really are so neat. It's fun to have a friend with chickens. Just like it's probably fun to have friends with dogs, you know, where it's like you get something that's a lot of work and it's fun to visit, and then you get to go home and you don't have to clean up any chicken poop, which is pretty sweet. So it was nice to spend time with you this week. Please have a happy weekend stitching. I hope you're getting time to do a lot of it and having fun watching FlossTube. And I know some of y'all are at StitchCon and having a blast. So there's just a lot of really cool things going on. It's fun to spend time with you. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Bye now. See ya. Bye. They are busy, busy, busy. We got a lot of growing to do still. Sally likes to herd them. She thinks she's a sheepdog, a chicken dog, I guess. Are you guys so nice? Good girls. sound. 1, 2, 3. Testing sound. 1, 2, 3. Woo!